Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
We begin tonight with a homicide investigation inside a Wayne County high school after police say a fight between janitors turned deadly. The other janitor is in police custody after that fight last night inside Redford Union High School.
Redford Township police say there is no ongoing danger to the public, but the school was closed today. Let's bring in Priya Mann with what police are having to say about what happened. Priya.
Devin, Kim, police are tight-lipped tonight. They won't comment on how the janitor was killed, where their body was discovered, or who called 911. But as you mentioned, they said there was no ongoing risk to the public. Classes were canceled today. Students weren't there when this all happened.
2 janitors, I'm just thinking, like, it just sounds crazy.
Police say school had been dismissed and there were no students around when they say a janitor killed another janitor at Redford Union High School.
It was really scary. Just a lot of cars, a lot of sirens, a lot of things going on at school. You just don't want anything bad to happen, but you think the worst when you see that much activity.
Tony Miller was watching TV around 5:30 Thursday evening when he heard a flurry of activity across the street.
When I saw the police cars and heard the sirens, I mean, I automatically thought it was a student. But when I heard about the janitors shortly after that, it was just, I don't know how to wrap my head around that.
It shouldn't have happened, simply. It's simple, shouldn't have happened. This could have been totally avoided.
Redford Township police say both the victim and the suspect were custodial workers from a third-party contractor. The victim is an adult male. He was rushed to the hospital but died from his injuries.
Those are things you see on TV that happen to other people. And when you see it like this close to you, it's kind of scary.
Police arrested a 42-year-old Detroit resident without incident.
We need to do better as far as these applications, making sure people are in the right state of mind.
Especially when they're working in schools.
Exactly, when they're working in schools especially.
Now, we did reach out to the district. They would not talk on camera today, but did release a statement saying they can't give out a lot of information just yet pending this police investigation, but that safety is top of mind for students and staff and anybody who's on campus. After being closed today, classes will resume on Monday. Reporting live tonight, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
Wow, what a day. All right, Priya. Our other top story here at 5, it is set to be a busy weekend for the UAW. They get to work now getting information out to the rank and file about just what is in those tentative agreements.
And that includes a planned social media announcement from President Shawn Fain. Business editor Rod Maloney live tonight. Rod, there's still a lot of work to be done here, though.
Oh, no doubt about it, and it's just got underway for General Motors here just up the street at the UAW Solidarity House, where the UAW GM National Council came to town, and they're going to have their vote as to whether they should send the current tentative agreement off to the rank and file. It's more than likely that that's what they're going to do. But Shawn Fain is going to, tomorrow at noontime, have his video presentation of that, so it's going to take a little bit. That meeting just up the street is going to probably go until 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. So, in the meantime, the white-collar workers now have reason to cheer after this strike. You could say it's an epidemic of pay raises as the UAW faithful put the picket signs away and look to vote for their major pay hikes and signing bonuses. The GM white-collar workforce is about to get a pay bump as well. GM today saying it's going to give about 45,000 non-union employees a 3.5% raise and Juneteenth off as a holiday. In a statement, the company said, quote, GM provides competitive compensation and benefits for salaried employees benchmarked across industries. Next year, GM will increase base pay and company matching 401k plans, as well as offer enhanced health care benefits, end quote. Even Toyota is saying it's going to raise line worker pay as a way to stave off the UAW's promised advances to unionize their and other transplant facilities. And this will likely mean higher auto prices, says Wedbush Securities auto analyst Daniel Ives.
But it's going to cause what we view as anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 that they're going to have to raise prices to the consumer. And I think ultimately it's the foreign automakers and the non-union players like Tesla and Rivian that do benefit now with the Detroit 3 essentially having one hand tied behind their back.
He also believes as a result of this strike, the internal combustion engine is not headed to extinction as quickly as the White House would have us believe.
I think their death has been greatly exaggerated. And I think if anything, this was really sort of a gut check period for Detroit to show that ICE 10, 15 years from now is still going to be here.
Now, something curious came out this afternoon about the Ford UAW agreement, and that is that the company set aside about $53 million to compensate its workers that were either on the picket line or ended up laid off. In fact, the laid off workers were supposed to be able to get unemployment. Actually, they didn't get unemployment because it was a strike, and they ended up on strike pay. But apparently Ford wants to sort of put this whole episode behind everybody, make everybody largely whole, and so they put that money aside as well. Back to you.
Rod, I know we said there's still a lot of work to do here. Do we know when are we likely to see, though, these contracts ratified?
Well, this is a very slow process. The UAW put out a tracker today for the number of locals that have voted so far for just the Ford UAW contract. I only saw 4 on the list, and 2 of them were from Michigan Assembly. And so as it stands right now, they're saying at the earliest we're going to see the ratifications come sometime in mid-November. But in the meantime, most people have been called back to work. And so everybody's sort of cycling back into the plants as they begin to ramp up as well.
Okay. Continue to keep us posted, Rod. Thank you. Devin.
More than 50 protesters were arrested today inside a Senate office building, part of a growing chorus demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. Meantime, the U.S. is pleading for a pause in the airstrikes as civilians work to get to safety. An urgent mission today in the Middle East as Secretary of State Antony Blinken returned to Israel, trying to persuade its leaders to pause its relentless airstrikes of the Gaza Strip, to give time for hostages to get out and for aid to get in. The secretary emotional over the toll on Palestinian children.
When I look into their eyes through the TV screen, I see my own children. How can we not?
But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu left their meeting determined there would be no temporary ceasefire until Hamas releases all the hostages taken in last month's brutal terror attack. We now know unarmed U.S. military drones are flying over Gaza, helping in the hostage search, as the Pentagon steps up its defenses on U.S. military bases in the region amid recent attacks and fresh threats from Iranian-backed militias.
We are sending a clear message to Iran or to any other group that might want to widen this conflict to not do that.
Secretary Blinken has now arrived in Jordan to meet with regional leaders seeking to contain the war as Hezbollah in Lebanon threatens escalation. The Israeli military ready to respond. It says its ground forces have now encircled Gaza City. But more Americans are making it out of the dangers and devastation in Gaza.
You're just happy your kids can now have a meal, see a doctor, sleep in a bed, not hear any bombs. I'm extremely relieved.
We will get justice for you!
While on Capitol Hill, dozens of protesters were arrested as they pressed for a ceasefire in the offices of several U.S. senators. 14 Democratic senators have now joined President Biden's calls for a short-term pause in the violence in Gaza.
All right, now to a new twist in the alleged sign stealing at U of M that seems to be consuming the college football news cycle.
I believe the saying is you cannot make this up. There is a new report out today making some wild claims linking this whole investigation back to a certain school in Ohio, and Hobie is here now to break it down for us.
I called this earlier a soap opera. Forget that. This is the Twilight Zone. That's what we're calling it right now. Well, as the days move on, we're reaching the quote-unquote days of our lives portion of the Michigan sign stealing allegations. That new report today now bringing in their biggest rival as the drama continues to build. According to On3.com, Michigan is gathering evidence on 2 private investigators they believe are behind the investigation into Connor Stallions and those alleged sign stealing on scouting tasks by the U of M. And the wild part, they say that those investigators have ties to Ohio State coach Ryan Day's family.
Stop it.
Oh, my God.
That's what this report is saying. The report also goes on to say that Michigan is in possession of documents that could link the investigators to Ryan Day's brothers. As of now, though, the NCAA is still in the early stages of their investigation. And what happens with Big Ten play? There's a report that the coaches in the conference gathered to have a meeting with the commissioner to air their frustrations, if you will. So An evolving story, to say the least.
And that's been a portion of this, is where did all this come from? It doesn't change the findings to a lot of people's thinking
And
either.
will the NCAA care where it came from is another big question.
Great question.
Okay.
Boy, oh boy.
We'll see in a little
Every
bit.
day.
Yeah, something new. All right, let's take a look at some live pictures of Eastern Market right now from our downtown sky cam. We've had a pretty great day heading into the weekend here.
That'll be hopping tomorrow morning, as it does every Saturday. Let's take a look at Exact Track 4D radar. A little bit of green, a little bit right there out to the far left of your screen, way out west, so we could see a few showers before the day's done. Leaves on the ground starting to pile up, though.
We'll probably hear plenty of snow blowers, not snow blowers.
Stop that.
Sorry, leaf blowers.
You behave.
Leaf blowers. Let's not rush it, Kim. Sorry.
Welcome to my world, Kimberly Gill. Now you know how it feels. All right, high school football tonight starts out dry, 54 degrees. By the end of the game, though, there could be a couple of scattered showers. Nothing too heavy, but definitely as you head out tonight, if you're headed to one of those playoff games, just keep that in mind. It's pretty mild. Downtown it's 58 degrees, a degree less at Metro, 54 in Pontiac, 56 in Mount Clemens. It is 8 degrees warmer than it was yesterday at the airport and 6 degrees warmer downtown. So we're headed in the right direction. Now tomorrow we top out in the mid 50s, not too bad. We'll start the day with some clouds, maybe some late day sunshine, and it should be dry. Big change to Sunday's forecast. Temperatures are going to be in the 50s, which is where we expected them to be, but not as rainy as we thought. And we also see a 60 in the next 7 days. But then after that, temperatures really start to cool down. By Thursday and Friday, we're only in the 40s. And we do have quite a bit of rain to talk about for next week. And we'll talk more about that weekend forecast in just a few minutes.